Hello and welcome to Goodnight Flagstaff. I'm Jamie Hasapis. I sing here in town as well as perform in a few plays here and there. And I also love to read aloud. And I've done that in the past for a SAG program here a few years ago. And I also want to thank you for tuning in to our community story time. You can find a new chapter from one of our favorite family-friendly books at 8 p.m. each weeknight on the Literacy Center's YouTube channel and on Crater Radio, a local online radio station. The previous chapter is replayed on Crater Radio each weeknight at about 7:45, just before the new chapter airs. You can also listen to all previous Goodnight Flagstaff recordings on YouTube. We are currently reading Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. If you'd like to check it out to read along with us at home, it is available in the Hoopla app with your Coconino County library card. Check one out today. And please email us if you'd like to join our team of readers and connect with your community through stories. All ages are welcome. Our email is GoodnightFlagstaff, all one word, @gmail.com. Last time we read together, Nizhoni rode on the back of the Herald to protect the mountain in danger from monsters. Landing proved more difficult than they expected, but they succeeded. To avoid attracting the monster, the Herald flies away, but before leaving, she gives Nizhoni a feather that supposedly turns into anything she needs when she needs it. Will Nizhoni be able to defeat the monster with a feather? Chapter 22. The Buzzard Bozos. Dilemma. When facing a door made of solid jet black and possibly leading into a dark, scary cave where a non-human Navajo mountain guardian lives, should one knock? Normally I would, but all things considered, including the fact that my monster instincts are screaming at me something serious now, I decide to go in. I push the door open a crack and whisper shout, "Hello!" in case Blackjack Girl made it back unexpectedly and she's in the shower or something. And then I remember she's Navajo, so I whisper out, "Ya'ate!" to cover my bases. No answer, so I slip inside and immediately wish I hadn't. Blackjack Girl's house is clean, and maybe at another time it might be cozy. It's not a cave, but an octagonal room just like Rock Crystal Boy's Hogan. In the middle is a pit where a nice bright fire is crackling. But on the other side of the fire are, well, two of the ugliest buzzards I've ever seen. Once, when Mac and I were small, and Dad was taking us trick-or-treating in the neighborhood, we came upon this one house. A big, old, creaky-looking thing with a heavy wooden eave and a wide front porch with deep shadows filling the corners. On that porch, perched on the edge of the bench, was someone in the spookiest costume ever. A birdman creature with hunched shoulders, strands of black hair combed over a balding head, and a long, curved, mean-looking beak. It sat in front of a plastic pumpkin bucket brimming with the best candy. All full-size chocolate bars, none of the random gross cinnamon candy or, heaven forbid, pennies or dental floss like at some of the other houses. But the trick was, if you wanted the good candy, you had to brave the creep-tastic Birdman. I was willing to try, but Mac was too scared. He took one look and started wailing and screaming about how the monster was going to eat us. And Dad made us turn around and leave before I had a chance to make my move and potentially score a Hershey bar. I complained, telling my dad it wasn't fair and that Mac was a big baby, which technically he was since he was only 5 at the time. But secretly, I was glad I hadn't had to get too close to that horrible thing. That Halloween Birdman had nothing on the buzzard creatures on the other side of the fire pit in Blackjack Girl's house. There are 2 of them, both hunchbacked and squatting in the firelight. Their hair is black wire, sticking up in patches from their otherwise bald pates. Between their long pointed beaks, they are playing tug-of-war with something that smells like rotten meat. I gag, covering my mouth with my hand. And worse than their wire hair and rotten meat lunch are their eyes. Both creatures have bulging eyeballs. Their irises are bright red, and blue veins crisscross like the whites of their eyes, like cracks in a boiled egg. Is this what Mr. Charles looks like under his human costume? Yuck! No wonder he wears a disguise. So far, the two cackling vultures haven't noticed me, too intent on their fight over whatever it is. I definitely don't want to get close enough to know the details. And then I spot something else. There's a girl lying on the floor right beside the entrance, so close I could have tripped over her. She looks about my age and is wearing a traditional Navajo rug dress with moccasins and leg wraps that come up to her knees. But she's made out of black rock, the same way Rock Crystal Boy was made out of white rock. Her skin is smooth and flawless and glimmers in the firelight. I found the missing guardian of Debe Nitsa, but Black Jet Girl is as unmoving as the material she's named after. I bend down and try to shake her awake. No luck. She's cold and hard to the touch. Then I see a tiny drop of water fall from the corner of her eye, cascade down her hard cheek, and pool in the corner of her mouth. Black Jet Girl is frozen and scared, and my guess is those creepy buzzard creatures are to blame. Clegine hadn't said anything about what to do if I found Black Jet Girl paralyzed. If the bird had known, surely she would have left me with more than a feather to work with. A feather! And just like that, I have a brilliant idea. If Black Jet Girl can cry, she's not completely lost in there. I pull the plume from my pocket and wave it under Black Jet Girl's nose. Nothing happens at first, and I'm ready to give up on my not-so-brilliant-after-all idea. A moment later, Black Jet Girl sniffles and snuffles and, with one great heave, sneezes herself alive. I owe Clegine an apology. Her gift was exactly what I needed. And then I realize the babbling buzzards have fallen silent. I slowly turn my head to look across the fire, and both monsters are staring directly at me. Or maybe they aren't, because their gaze seems to go right through me as if they can't see me at all. "Who's there?" one of them shouts in a raspy croak. "I don't see anybody, brother," its companion bleats, sounding annoyed. "Of course you don't, fool. You're blind, just like me. But I heard something." He shuffles a few feet in my direction. I stiffen. Black Jet Girl doesn't seem to be thawed enough to move yet. I gently nudge her with my foot, hoping to help her along. She moans a little, but still doesn't open her eyes. "There it is again," the first buzzard croaks. "Check the girl." "The girl is fine, brother," the other one protests. "We paralyzed her with our stare. Nothing can resist our stare." I feel a hand clutch my wrist, and I almost jump out of my skin. I look down, and Black Jet Girl is awake. Her eyes are penetrating mine, trying to tell me something. She mouths a word at me. "Feather?" I ask. I think that's what she said. "What's that?" one of the buzzards squawks. "Did you say feather?" "No, someone else did," said his brother. Black Jet Girl rolls her eyes at the two birdmen and raises herself a little to talk to me again. "Throw the feather into the fire," she manages to whisper before she drops back down, looking exhausted. "I definitely heard it that time," says a buzzard. "Speak up! Who's there? Or we'll turn you to stone and then beat on you until you break into 100 pieces. 1,000,000. 1,000. What? 1,000,000 is more than a dozen. Is it? Then how about 1,000,000,000? How about you learn to count? How about you shut your beak so I can find out who's coming to our new house to steal our prized possession?" I can't take their squabbling anymore. It's worse than Mac and me on a long trip. Now I know how my dad feels when he tells us to stop it, or he's going to pull the car over this minute. "My name is Nizhoni Begay," I shout, "and I'm here to rescue Black Jet Girl. She is the guardian of this mountain, and you can't have her." "Oh!" one of the buzzards squawks. "A rescue mission, is it? Who do you think you are that you can take what belongs to us? I inhale deeply, and even though my hands are shaking and my voice doesn't sound all that steady, I tell them, I am a monster slayer. The buzzards stiffen for a second. Then one of them yelps and tries to hide behind the other. Don't be an idiot, he says, pushing his brother away. This Nizhoni person cannot be a real monster slayer. Where's her lightning sword? She's delusional. That's insulting, but he does have a point. The other one peers over his brother's shoulder. You're right. We'd be able to hear the crack of thunder or smell the lightning if she were a real monster slayer. He chuckles. Somebody has lied to her. She's confused, misled, duped, discomfited. Stop it, I shout. Besides, I don't even think discomfited means what you think it does. They roll their ugly heads on their necks like the world's grossest bobbleheads. Discombobulated, biscombobulated, they screech. I said stop. I shouted again, but why should they listen to me? They're right. I don't have a lightning sword, as cool as that sounds. I don't even have any protective clothing, just a black and red isotopes hoodie from school. And that's not going to stop their sharp talons. Look into our eyes, one of the creatures croons at me, his voice a sing-song. Don't be scared, little monster slayer. If you're a monster slayer, we can't hurt you. Yeah, his companion cackles. He bulges his eyes as if looking for me. Monster slayers are immune to our powers. So look closer. The first one warbles, shuffling forward, eyeballs popping out even further. I fight the urge to throw up a little. Eyeballs skeeve me out on the best of days. This bulging thing is taking it to a whole new level. Closer, the other one says. And I realize they're both moving around the fire, trying to get near to me. My heart speeds up and I swallow hard. I want to run, but I can't leave Blackjack Girl in here alone. I have to fight these monsters. But how? Little monster slayer, where did you go? Says the first one, his eyes so big, now they're practically hanging out of their sockets. I clutch Clijin's feather. It already woke up Blackjack Girl. I wonder if it has a little bit more ingenuity left. Blackjack Girl said I should throw it in the fire, but that would mean getting rid of my only weapon. Yeah, I don't have a lot of choices here. And maybe the Guardian knows something I don't. Here goes nothing, I say to myself. I hurl the feather into the flames. It explodes into a million tiny salt crystals that pop and sizzle. Hot granules fly everywhere, and I duck my head under my arm to avoid getting hit. But the Buzzard brothers are too close to the fire. The salt strikes their protruding eyes, and they stumble around, screeching in pain. One flaps his stubby wings, trying to protect his face, but then the grains light on his oily feathers, and he just shrieks louder. The other tries to fly away and bangs into the ceiling. Rocks come loose, crumbling and falling, and the whole little house in the mountain seems to shake. We've got to get out of here, I say to Blackjack Girl, tugging on her arm. The roof's going to come down. Thank you for tuning in. Join us next time for Chapter 23 of Race to the Sun. Good night, Flagstaff.